Today, it's all about Sony's announcement regarding firmware version 6.0 for the FX6. So I will be breaking down the new firmware update for the camera, what it means in terms of new features, and what it could also mean in regards to an FX6 Mark II. So with all that out of the way, let's get started. So firmware 6.0 is due to be released for the FX6 in February 2026. Sony also announced firmware updates for the FX3, the FX30, the BRAW, and the Venice 2. Now for the purposes of this video, I will be focusing on the FX6. Included in version 6.0 are the following new features: a big 6-camera menu, SDI output for Blackmagic RAW when used with Blackmagic's Design Video Assist Recorder, and finally a new feature with the option to omit camera data on the viewfinder. So what does all this entail, not just for the user experience with these new features, but also what does it mean for the lifespan of the camera? I mean, does this mean, for instance, Sony has no plans to release an FX6 Mark II? And you know, at first I wasn't sure I wanted to make this video. I have covered much more robust firmware updates in the past, such as firmware 2.0, that added features to the FX6 like touch tracking autofocus, picture cache recording, focus breathing compensation, and clear image zoom. And in my estimation, version 2.0 fundamentally improved the FX6's capabilities to such a degree it felt like a new camera. Consider for a moment touch tracking autofocus, where you merely touch a point on your screen to lock on autofocus. Before touch tracking autofocus on the FX6, you had to use this cumbersome mini joystick apparatus, and it was very inefficient. There was also picture cache recording, which added the ability to record a couple of seconds before you hit the record button, which is useful when you're recording unpredictable circumstances like special events, wildlife, or sports. So I had a shot where a cheetah was napping, and naturally you can't predict when these animals are going to get up and leap into action. So pre-firmware 2.0, my shot would have lacked that preceding context. Post-firmware 2.0, it's not an issue. You can store up to 31 seconds before you hit record in normal filming. So after experiencing these improvements with firmware 2.0, I didn't feel super compelled or motivated to cover firmware 4.0, as the additions were minuscule compared to its predecessor. And make no mistake about it, just like version 4.0, version 6.0 is also fairly light in terms of new features, comparatively speaking. Although it does stand to reason perhaps Sony did such a good job at correcting the camera's software-related inadequacies in version 2.0 that there simply wasn't all that much to do in these latest firmware iterations. Needless to say, what's interesting to me about this update, it's not the features so much as the meaning of the firmware release announcement. The FX6 was released in 2020, and following previous camera release trajectory, an FX6 Mark II announcement would be expected around this time frame. What's also interesting is firmware 6.0, it isn't coming in February 2025, it's coming in February 2026. This seems to indicate Sony is still heavily investing into the FX6, and there doesn't appear to be any news of an FX6 Mark II on the horizon, or at least it appears to be the case. Now let's take a closer look at the new features on version 6.0. And if the new Big 6 menu edition appears anything like the BRAW, it will feature shutter angle, ISO, ND filter stops, frame rate, white balance, and more. And this feature can be very useful, especially while filming on an external monitor. The Big 6 menu will also be a new feature on the FX3 and the FX30. Blackmagic RAW via SDI output is another new feature, allowing for external recording using Blackmagic's BRAW codec. So essentially the FX6 can now use both the BRAW and the ProRes RAW codec options, which allows for more user flexibility in file compression and post-production. And finally, the last new feature indicates a new option for the OSD or on-screen display. Apparently, camera data will no longer be overlaid on top of the viewfinder image. Instead, it appears the data will be pushed to the margins, clearing up space for image clarity. I've never had issue with viewfinder pollution, so to speak, but we'll have to wait and see how this option is fully implemented to know for sure. But anyway, that's all for now, and as always, if you found this video helpful or insightful, give a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, comment below, let me know what you think, and I'll see you in the next one.